Holly, the other post-secondary counselor, Kate Moody. So we really just want to dive right into this because we have an incredible panel. And I'm sure every event or program or conference you guys go to, you're like, everybody says that. But no, we really do, because the experience on this stage right now is so exciting for you guys to hear about, because they all have something unique and a little bit of a nuance to their experience. So we're really excited for you guys to hear about it. The way this program is going to work, you guys were given these white notepads and a little pencil, so we want to hear from you guys. Any questions that you have? Once they do their introductions, it might kind of trigger a few more questions or things that you might want to ask about. But of course, we have a few questions to get us started too. So if you have any just pressing questions or things that you want to start off the program with, please start jotting those down and we'll come around and pick those up. So like I mentioned, we have a really diverse group of experiences on this stage tonight. So we have a variety of areas of study. We have students that have done 2-year schools, 4-year schools. We have students that are currently in the workforce right now that gain that employment from directly out of college or from their area of study. We have students that are into an accelerated master's program, so they're continuing with their education or have continued with their education right afterwards. So a lot to explore and dive into. Unfortunately, one of our panelists that is in the automotive field wasn't able to make it tonight. So just knowing that regardless if it's something that requires a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree certification, anything like that, myself and Kate Moody are here to help with your post-high school plans. So I'm going to have Ella kick us off, if that's okay, and they're just going to do an introduction of themselves, a little bit about their experience, and then we'll dive more into that afterwards.
Hi, I'm Ella Field. I graduated from VHS in 2018 and went to Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. I just graduated this past May, or I guess it's not this past summer, last May 2022, and I majored in environmental science and magazine media, which is just a fancy journalism name. And I've been working for Better Homes and Gardens. I started while I was in college, but I've been working there since I graduated. My name is Josie Dahlstrom. I graduated from Barrington in 2021, and I spent a year as an au pair, it's like a live-in nanny living in France, and I'm currently committed to the University of Arizona for education in the fall.
Hi there, my name is Peter Hughes, and I just recently graduated with my master's in accountancy from Western Illinois integrated master's program, and I'm currently applying to federal law enforcement positions.
Hi, my name is Thomas Quigg. I graduated from VHS in 2018, and I just graduated from the University of Illinois in Champaign with my master's this December in computer science. In 2 weeks, I will be starting as an incoming privacy engineer at Apple.
I'm Jake Lezak. I graduated here in 2022. Currently attending Oklahoma State. I'm just going to across the college, I guess. Finance major. And just really nothing else.
I'm Caleb Forte. I graduated Barrington class of 2021, and I go to University of Miami in Miami, Florida, and I study music business.
My name is Danny Sheedy. I graduated from Barrington in 2022, and I go to the University of Colorado in Boulder, and I'm studying media production.
My name is Olivia Washington, and I go to Louisiana State University. I'm an information systems and decision science major, and I graduated VHS in 2022.
Hi, I'm Anna Garish, and I graduated from Barrington in 2020. I currently go to University of Maine for elementary education and special ed, and I took a gap semester and then continued my education at Harvard Community College, and then decided to transfer.
Hi, my name is Zoe Lacey. I attend Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a neuropsychology pre-med major, and I graduated from VHS in 2022.
Hi, my name is Josh Bennick. Currently a business entrepreneurship major at Harper College, and for workforce in September, I recently opened a shoe store in Barrington, so it's really fun.
So see, as you can tell, that everyone has kind of a different story, a different nuance, and that's something that Kate and I always like to share with our students is there's no set path to the career or the end goal that you have for yourself. So I'm excited for you guys to hear about this experience, and mainly, the next thing I want to kick off while you guys may be jotting down some questions that will come by and pick up, is why did you choose either that college or that path, or even that area of study or that career that you have? So just, I know we have a lot of people on the panel, but if they could kind of quickly run through that for you guys, just to hear a little bit more of the why and how they kind of got to that. So Ella, if you don't mind kicking it up again, cool.
So I went to Drake University, and I knew when I was applying to schools I wanted to do 2 majors, and I knew I wanted to do science and then journalism because I did yearbook here at VHS, and I just fell in love with journalism there. And so when I was applying to schools, it was really important that the school had 2 good programs for both of those, and Drake was one of the few that had good programs for both of those, especially in the journalism school. There was a really cool apprenticeship, which I ended up doing, which is why I went to Drake, called the Meredith Apprenticeship. And that's also how I ended up getting my job at Better Homes and Gardens. So I knew from an early age that I wanted to go into elementary education, but when it was time to apply to college around my junior year, I just felt that I wasn't mature enough for that yet. So I decided to take a gap year. I learned about the au pair experience from a friend who was talking about it in casual conversation, and it was something that I was genuinely interested in. I love travel, and I had been studying French through school, and I would love to further my education of that. So I joined an agency called Au Pair World, and that matched me with a French host family so that I could teach English to their kids, as well as learn French during my time there. I had a great experience furthering my knowledge of the French language, as well as gaining the interest of teaching language through education. So when I was applying to college just this past fall, I was able to include that in my essay about my experience as an au pair, how I've matured from that, and how it will lead me to become a better teacher through my previous experience working with children.
From a young age, I've always been told that my family members have been wonderful law enforcement officers, and I decided from that age on I wanted to be a part of that. I went to Western Illinois to receive my accounting degree because many federal law enforcement agencies look for more business-type diplomas rather than just criminology or law enforcement degrees. So I'm very happy with everything that's come my way at Western.
In terms of why I chose University of Illinois, I like computer science for forever. U of I was in-state, and it was a really good computer science program. And in-state tuition, good computer program, was a no-brainer for me. Plus, it's a fantastic school, and it's large enough that there's a wide variety of people there. Different types of people, so it's not just an engineering school, or it's not just a school.
When picking out colleges, found that Illinois State was probably the most reliable college for me at the time, just with everything that was going on. And toured the campus, I loved it, enjoyed it, it was close to home, reliable. And I just appreciated the campus for what it was. I'm a business major, right, and just want to do something for myself in business, start something. And that's kind of just why I'm in business as well.
I picked UM to get away from the Chicago cold. Miami heat's pretty nice, not even gonna lie. But on top of that, I also picked it as one of the best music schools in the country, so I'm very grateful I get to go there. But it's also great because I'm not just limited to being only around music students. I have the other students. I didn't want to be a part of the conservatory and, eat, breathe, sleep music. I have my music friends, but my 4 closest friends are all pre-med, and it's really awesome to be able to make different kinds of experiences with myself.
Yeah, I had to get out of the Midwest. I definitely decided to go to Colorado because I took a visit out there and it immediately clicked. I didn't want to go south. I like having seasons, and it's a little warmer than here, which I'll take any day. And you can't really beat like that environment, that view, which is absolutely gorgeous. So that's why I chose to go there.
When I started looking for what school I wanted to go to, one of my main priorities was being an out-of-state student because I really wanted that experience experience, and along with that, LSU gave me like the diversity aspects that I was looking for, along with like, when I went to visit, I was very comfortable with where I was, and I originally started like looking at like college athletics, but that didn't work out, but even though it didn't work out the way I planned, it still very much has been a good time, and I really enjoy it.
I graduated during strict quarantine, which was 2020. That was when I graduated high school, so it was a bit of a shock to everyone. And then I immediately decided I don't think I can go to college and just be stuck in a dorm with some random stranger for who knows how long. So I decided to take a gap semester, which I did a program with Outward Bound, just to kind of see what else there is in the world and what I really aspire to be. And then I ended up loving Maine as a state and the amount of opportunities outside of it. And I just loved it.
In terms of why I wanted to go into neuropsychology, the social sciences and the natural sciences have always been very interesting to me. So psychology being a social science, and then putting that neurological part in there, understanding why people act the way they do, why trauma affects people the way it does, and how the brain connects to all of that. That's what really made me want to be a neuropsychology major. In terms of why I chose Spelman being the #1 liberal arts HBCU, that for me kind of put into perspective and seeing my mom graduate from that same place and seeing how it prepared her to be a doctor, I knew that I wanted to go somewhere with intelligent, driven women who are like me, and I knew Spelman could get me there, so that's why I chose it.
So, as I said earlier, I go to Harper College currently, and for why I chose Harper College, there's a couple of things that stood out when choosing Harper. So as you know, Harper College is local, so it's obviously nice to save some money. I got the Harper Promise, so I'm going there, and I'm on a 2-year track right now. And Harper's great because, as you know, a lot of local Barrington students go there, so you're pretty much guaranteed to already get some friends off the bat. Another nice advantage is you don't have to worry about the dorm life if you're not huge on that. So being close to home, always having support from your family is nice. And like I said, it's crucial to save money, and that's the #1 reason I want to go to Harvard.
So we're going to kind of do another pass over. There are any questions in the audience, just kind of leave that little piece of paper and we'll come get that. So some of you actually have already touched on it, but the second question I guess I wanted to ask was that first year when you either are away from home or just even being a freshman student, how did you make connections, whether it was with classmates or professors or people in the community to like find a job or research experience? How do you make connections in that first semester of freshman year of college? And for this, everybody doesn't have to answer, so if it was like a ditto or same kind of experience, that's okay. But if anybody wants to jump in first. Oh, great. Yeah, go ahead, Phyllis. That's great.
So I had a unique experience going to college. About 30 days before I started college, I shattered my ankle. One plate, 12 screws, couldn't walk until October. So to make friends was actually really difficult, but I kept my door open, and I made sure my room was super nice, and it was really friendly to people. Met my 2 best friends and my girlfriend within the first week of college. And then just in terms of, I knew people going into University of Illinois because a lot of VHS people go to U of I. So I talked to them. I was like, hey, can I hang out with let's hang out with your friends. In terms of, academic connections, I joined a club, just like one club. I didn't join 10 clubs. I joined one club, and I got very involved in that basically as soon as I could walk. Definitely, join a club or an RSO, which is a registered student organization, or whatever they call it at wherever you go.
Having your door open, your door connection and meeting your roommates before you move in is also very crucial. And making connections on Facebook group chats and just Instagram group chats, those actually help with meeting people. So when you get to your location, you know, you can talk to them and have a meet up with you, meet them, know what they're like, and then you too can go on and meet people in your dorm as well, because everyone's in the same boat. Like, no one, like, not, people aren't gonna know anyone when you go to college, obviously, and it's important that you make new friends. So doors will be open, don't be afraid to introduce yourself, because everyone's in the same boat, so that's kind of how you just need to start off, just building friends.
Maybe off that, someone on my floor last year, one of my floor, those are my closest friends, there's a group of 10 of us, we were super close, we're still close right now. This guy knocked on my door with a bag of lollipops, gave me a lollipop, and he's from Colombia, like the country, and tomorrow I'm picking him up from the airport because he's spending the week with me and my family. So that just goes to show, really put yourself out there, knock on doors, and if they ignore you, sucks for them.
Even like personally, like when I graduated from VHS, I was the only student at the time going to LSU from my class. So like I didn't even have like an original buddy like start the first week off with. So like what I did on my first few days was just like go to people in my hall and like go get food with them. You just have to like branch out and like be willing to meet new people. And along with that, I also did join a sorority. So like with that, it allowed me to meet more people and like branch out even further.
I also went to a school where I didn't know anyone, which is very intimidating and definitely takes a lot to be able to step out and make sure you have friends. So I joined about 3 different clubs, and to this day I still am very close with everyone in it. And a great aspect of clubs is during weekends, say in the beginning of the semester when you don't know as many people, there's normally trips or gatherings with that club, so it's nice. We definitely have something to do.
Also say if your college has a new student orientation week, go to every event. I know it seems like a lot, but I met a lot of people during that week, and people will just come up to you. You can go up to people too, and maybe you can go with your roommate and you guys can just cycle through people and get people's information, actually follow up. If you say, hey, I'll text you if you have commonalities that you see amongst each other, text them. And then you can form connections and things like that. But I really do think new student orientation is the one event that's really helped me meet people. And it's because everyone was doing it, so it wasn't like you were the only one going up to people and trying to start a conversation.
Living with the host family was a completely new opportunity to me. I mean, there weren't a lot of other people in the area I was living in. I lived on a French island by the coast of South Africa. So I was one of 4 or 5 English speakers that I knew. So I became exceptionally close with my host parents especially. I mean, they're 40-year-old adults and they work full-time jobs, but I keep in contact with them. I speak to them often. And I also befriended just people that lived around there. So I stalked other au pairs on Instagram, and I begged them to hang out with me. And I'm still in contact with them now. I actually have plans to meet up with my friend who lives in Germany the next time she comes to America, or if I ever get the chance to go to Europe again. There were also a group of moms that I did Pilates with in the mornings, because I became a middle-aged woman apparently in my time there. I really opened myself up to just allow connections with people. I mean, growing up, I was surrounded by other people my own age who had grown up in Barrington their whole lives. And suddenly I was thrust into this new environment where I was the only American these people had ever met before, or the only English speaker that they knew. And I think allowing myself to just make friends with anyone, or to reach out to someone even though you're scared to, I was able to gain great connections that I would have otherwise never had if I hadn't just reached out.
And then, kind of along the lines of involvement and connection, I don't know if anyone is, but is anyone on the panel involved in athletics? No. Okay. Oh yeah, if you can highlight something about being a college athlete, or a friend maybe.
But
not a college
athlete. I will not, yeah, definitely not. But I am on the club soccer team, which is really fun.
Yes,
and it's
perfect.
not,
Yep.
good. It's not as big of a commitment, so that was really nice. Like, say you have a lot of homework and you can't make it to practice, it's not a big deal. And there's so many people in such a variety of diverse group of people, so it's really fun. And most weekends we actually go on trips and just go play against other teams, and it's a friendly environment, just playing sport that you miss from high school. So.
Yeah, so to that point, so she mentioned the club team, and then for anyone in the audience that's interested, obviously there's Division I 1, 2, and 3. And each level of competition can be a little bit more time consuming than others, as well as any club or recreational team that students do in college. So it's just, if that is the path that you're interested in, please feel free to reach out to us and we can kind of talk a little bit more about what that student athlete experience would be. For those that took a gap year, what do you think you got out of it, and would you recommend it to other students? And then also, could you highlight what Outward Bound is?
I did a program trip, which was in the Boundary Waters, which is northern Minnesota-Canadian border. And I hiked for about a week and then was canoeing for about 3 other weeks. And honestly, it was a great opportunity to just take a break from reality. There was a lot going on at that time between COVID, Black Lives Matter movement, and there was so much to take in and make sure that you're growing as a person and really just taking advantage of the time and moment that we live in. So it was, you didn't have your phone, you don't have music, all it was you and I think it was 7 other strangers. And then we spent a month in the woods together. And then we hiked about 250 miles. It was great. I loved every second of it, and I would offer and suggest it for everyone else.
Yeah, so like what else, like what you got out of it, so that's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot more of what I value as a person, and just make great connections and relationships with other people that want to take advantage of every opportunity to grow. If you're willing to take the chance to go live in the woods with 7 other people, I think everyone wants to grow as a person, because that's a pretty scary moment to do, to go into the world of the unknown. Because I did that before, I didn't know how to set up a tent or anything, so that was a bit intimidating, but very exciting, and much better going into new opportunities and learning, just taking advantage of it.
With my healthcare experience, I was able to gain so much perspective and life lessons that I wouldn't have been able to learn in America. So for example, parenting from a French person's perspective is very different, and I was able to provide my host kids with a different view that they had never seen before. I learned how to drive stick shift through mountains. That's something I never thought I'd be able to do. But I was able to learn things that I feel like will help me with my adult life and into my career as a teacher that I wouldn't have been able to learn here.
And then Josie, can you highlight, one of the questions was also about scholarships, so from doing the au pair experience for the now getting ready to start, was the scholarship any different for you?
So that's actually something that I'm looking into now that I'm just starting. I'm hoping to get scholarships for the unique experience that I have. Not a lot of other people, especially my age, can say that they've lived in another country for this long, but it's honestly not something that I'm sure about now because I'm just kind of starting that process for school.
So for the whole group, what did you not do at VHS that you wish you would have done? And I feel like all of you probably could chime in on that one too. But yeah, if there's something at VHS that just kind of sticks out to you that you wish you would have done.
This is probably going to just sound cheesy, but I only did yearbook my last 2 years of high school, and I just wish I started it sooner because I really liked it, and also just kind of like getting out there and doing more activities that the high school has to offer sooner, because I didn't really do as much my freshman and sophomore years.
Expand on that. I definitely agree with you. I wish I would have started doing things that I wanted to do earlier. And if you want to join that club, if you want to start a club, I started at ESU, I think my senior year. I would have loved if I could have started it freshman year or sophomore year. Because you get to form those connections with people, and it was kind of bittersweet because I started with the last year I was at VHS. So if I would have been able to start it earlier and then kind of build it up, I feel like I would have had those connections and really made more of an impact. So I would definitely say if you want to join a club or start one or join a sport, do it as fast as you can. You might regret it later.
Probably would have, I probably would have taken a class purely out of interest. And, I was very, very focused on, here are the class, you Google like X school course requirements, Ivy League course requirements, or this computer science school course requirements, and it says 3 years of this, 2 years of this class, this class, this class. And I was very focused on that, and as a result, I never really took like woodshop or art or something that I, may have really enjoyed purely just out of passion or interest. And at VHS, I probably would have done that at a younger age versus, I was a senior in college when I first started doing that.
I started to get really close with my teachers, and I wish I had done that my freshman and sophomore year, because I think that looking back on high school, I'm still in contact with a lot of those teachers, and they're just such great role models if you really connect with the teacher. They can help you so much with the road. They're also people, so you can talk to them.
Tie back into the athletics part, for me personally, I really wish you don't realize when you're a high school athlete what your future as an athlete looks like. So throughout my high school career, I played hockey, which was a club sport, and still is a club sport. But I'm sure there's a couple of kids or students in the audience who are currently athletes. And the big thing I have to say to you is stick with it through high school. You don't realize, but most of the time after high school, your career is probably over. So play those sports that you want to play, because the chances are in the future you might not have the chance to play them.
Okay, so then the next one I have is similar to that. So reflecting back on your time at VHS, what was the most useful or helpful thing that you either did or learned that got you ready for the next step?
Take AP classes. I took 13 of them, and I entered college as a sophomore, so I got 30 credits, all my gen eds out of the way, and now I just take, whatever music class I want to take, whatever other class I want to take. And honestly, it's hard. High school, I'm not even going to lie, AP classes are very, very difficult, especially when you have so many of them in a row, but it is so worth it in the end. Save you so much tuition money, years off your education. I highly recommend.
Like keeping yourself busy, especially with activities, sports, and clubs, because when you go to college, you have to be able to maintain your own schedule by yourself. You don't have your teachers making sure you turn your homework in, or doing your assignments. Your parents aren't there to help you in any way, shape, or form, unless you're closer to home. But especially for out-of-state students, it's a very big adjustment to be completely by yourself and have to do everything on your own.
Being in a good relationship with a counselor was something that I really took advantage of. Counseling, especially when it comes to college applications, is very important, and it's very good to have a good relationship with your counselor and always be in touch with her. And I knew that I had to take responsibility for myself, because they weren't going to do this for me, do my college applications. I sent them my essays, they would send it to other resources and check to see if there was any errors or anything. And that's actually very important when it comes to the application process, and that is something I'm happy I took advantage of.
One thing that I'm glad I took advantage of, and it's very small. I'm really glad I learned how to approach faculty, teachers, professors in Barrington rather than in college. It built up confidence, and a lot of professors are not as scary as some teachers would like to paint them. But I think Barrington prepared me very well for what to expect, and I'm very glad that I was able to gain that experience.
To piggyback off of that, it's really valuable to learn how to forcibly create opportunities for yourself. I will explain. So when I was a senior, I had done most of the computer science classes at VHS, and I wanted to, I was in the advanced computer science class, but I also wanted to help and maybe learn how to teach, but no such role existed. So I talked to the computer science teacher, I talked to the administrator, and I created the APCS1 teachers assistant role, which exists to this day. So, stuff like that. Make a club, if the club doesn't exist, make it. Interface with the admin. People are friendly here. Having that, knowing that people are friendly here, and knowing that people will accommodate you trying to create opportunities for yourself, or you trying to create cool things, is really cool. And then go and make those cool things.
Advantage of all the different classes too that PHS has to offer to really figure out what I liked and what I didn't like to do. Like I took AP Environmental Science my senior year, which made me realize I wanted to do environmental science, and I took yearbook, which made me realize I wanted to do journalism. So I think using your time now to kind of like explore what you're interested in is super helpful. And not only is it beneficial for yourself, but colleges also like to see that like diverse skill set.
PHS gives us so many great opportunities in this high school that really prepare us for our futures. For instance, I was able to take preschool courses here, preschool, child development, and then I was a student teacher in my senior year. And actually this past semester I was a head preschool teacher, and I wouldn't have been able to take on that position without all that experience. And going into college, being so confident in my major and, well, actually my double major, but just knowing truly what you want to do and how you're going to take it on by talking with all the different teachers about how they did it, how they would have done it differently, just communication, and take advantage of all the amazing opportunities we get from coming from here.
Thanks, guys. You are great. Josh, this is specifically for you. Sorry to put you on the spot. How do you like Harper so far, and what do you hope to do in the future?
So Harper's great from the standpoint of I really, as I said at the start, I own my own business, shoe store in Barrington. So that's the main reason I did Harper, was to go to school, and the flexibility Harper offers is awesome. Just to be able to live at home. I'm in my sophomore year, and I took 6 classes, 5 of which were online. So it was great to be able to do online, do the business, and kind of have school be almost a second thought while still going to school. So that's something I value highly, is being able to have school almost be there with you and not you there for school, if that makes sense. And like I said too, the big thing I value about Harper is just the Harper Promise is something so undervalued in a ton of communities around us. To be able to go to school for 2 years on scholarship for free is so undervalued, and it's crucial. The only other thing I have to say about Harper is I'm not involved in a ton of clubs, but I do know they have a ton of clubs, and they do have a couple of great sports teams too.
And that's a really good point, is if you go to Harper, it doesn't mean you just have to go there for classes. There are plenty of opportunities. There's even study abroad opportunities for them. So, just keeping on the Harper theme for a minute, I know I did this personally. How many of you took a Harper class in the summer to save money or get further on? So that's also something to think about too. Once you apply to Harper and you're accepted, you don't go back anytime you want, and sometimes it can be very inexpensive way to get your gen eds out of the way when you're home working during the summer, and then it lets you progress through more inexpensively. Okay. Oh, one more for Josh. Harper Promise. Can you explain a little bit about that?
So I can do my best. I have the memory of an 8-year-old criminal, but from what I remember, if you have to get service hours and good enough grades. Me personally, throughout my career at Barrington High School, I was never top of the line smart. I don't think I took any AP classes or anything top of the line like that. I was very just kind of moseying my way along, but it's very easy to get the Harper Promise as long as you stay up to date. I want to say it's roughly 5 to 10 hours of community service per semester, and once you get the Harper Promise, if you do decide to go to Harper, you have to still get good enough grades and still do community service. But the main reason I did Harper Promise is it's so easily attainable. Meaning it's not high expectation, it's only a couple hours of community service, but me personally, I love the community service aspect. For my community service, I go to Feed My Starving Children, so I love going there and helping the community too.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to encourage students to give back, and also that it attendance component to make sure that you're being responsible and going to class and showing up for school, and then maintaining a certain grade level. But it's reasonable. You know, they give freshmen and sophomores a chance to kind of try it out and maybe mess up a little bit, and then after that, it's more important to maintain those grades. So Josh, I think we've got from you that you are happy with your choice. Are you planning on doing anything beyond Harper? Or are you planning on transferring to a four-year school, or are you going to stay here and do your business? What do you think?
So that's actually another thing I like about Harper is it's so easy to transfer. It's one of the schools that has a very good, I guess, track for transferring. Me personally, I want to transfer. I currently applied to University of Minnesota. That's kind of my, I guess, dream school, so I'm hoping to go there after I have my sophomore year this coming semester. Business-wise, we're hoping to open another store in Minnesota, so that's kind of another reason why I want to go to Minnesota.
That's awesome. And Anna, so do you have any regrets with, you know, taking your gap year and then you did a semester at Harper, right? Before you went on to Maine?
No, I have no regrets about it. The first semester off, I think, was awesome because I was very overwhelmed with everything going on. And I also just didn't know where I wanted to go. I think I was just kind of committed to a school because I was like, yeah, University of Iowa works, why not go there? I know a few people that are going there. And then I think I chose like 3 other colleges in the meantime, and then ended up at University of Maine. But I agree about Harper being so great with credits transferring. I don't think anyone has ever gone to University of Maine from Barrington before then. I might be wrong. But the credits transferred very easily. And the advising center there is really great and easy to communicate with. They even told me the requirements that I needed to do and a checklist to get through to make sure I was able to transfer on time. And still graduate on time, which is great.
Thank you guys. Okay, so for the 4-year students, question is, well, it came up for Thomas, but I think we can, you know, and you, Ryan specifically, but I think we can broaden this question. And that is, what is the U of I campus like in the winter? And is there a lot of walking between campuses? So what I'd like for you guys to do that have been in a 4-year experience is talk about, you know, what size your school was, how was it, you know, how long did it take you to walk from one end of the campus to the other? If you were, well, Jalen, we don't need to talk about Miami and how lovely that is. Other than that, you know, just things about your particular campus so that people can get a feel for kind of what's it like on a big campus. Excuse me, and then also, piggybacking on that is how did you, if you were on a big campus like you and I, how did you work out the huge lecture halls and, you know, work through those kind of maybe less desirable things in order to make the best out of good things about large campus?
So I can do all of those. First question was like big campus. What's the winter like? It's cold. You know, if you're if you're in Barrington, that's roughly how cold it's going to be in Champaign. In terms of getting around on a big campus, University of Illinois specifically has one of the best transportation systems I know. The MTD system is, the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit system is unbelievable. But get a bike. You know, in winter, you want to be using the buses and stuff. Generally, if you're in, generally most classes of a specific major are in like the same area, unless you're taking a major that doesn't necessarily have like a dedicated building. But there are very few majors that don't have like a dedicated space. So, you know, most of the computer science classes that I took were on the engineering campus. And it totally depends what school you go to. So U of I's engineering campus was like a block away from the rest of the campus. But University of Michigan's engineering campus is like a mile away. So, you know, really look at what school you want to go to before you figure that out. Get a bike for the first 2 years, and then maybe get a car. That's what I got my car in my 4th year. I probably would have wanted it the 3rd year. In terms of give us lecture halls and that? Okay. You're going to get you'll get really big lecture halls for gen eds and stuff. Sit up front. That makes you a known person to the professor. Try and answer questions, sit up front. I know it's awkward, I know you don't want to do that. At least your freshman year, maybe your sophomore year, sit up front. Because if you want to, if you need something from the professor, like, oh, can I get an extension on this? Or, oh, like, I need help with this, I'm confused with this. You will, sitting up front and like engaging in the class, the professor will know you as like, oh, you're Thomas. You like engage in my class versus like, oh, were you? That's valuable. People are more encouraged to help you when they know who you are and like want to help you. But in terms of the actual space, the seats can get tight. So like this, except like you have to take notes. I'm a big guy, so you make do with what you have, but it can get uncomfortable, especially in the like 700, 800, 900 person lecture halls, which you'll have at least one of.
On a slightly smaller scale, my school's about 10,000 to 12,000 undergraduates, and I like to sleep in as close to my class time as possible. So I would have class at 8 a.m. freshman year, and I woke up 7:35, 7:40, and the reason I like UM is because my class, or UM's campus is essentially just one bubble, is how I phrase it, but there's no roads you need to cross. The longest distance is maybe 8-10 minute walk if you really hustle. So every morning I woke up 7:35, brushed my teeth, kept the pajama pants on, hustled, and got to class. But I really think that like campus size does make kind of a difference because, I like being a 7-minute walk to my apartment in the middle of the day. I have a huge break in my day, and sometimes I want to take a nap, so I take a nap. But if my campus was like any bigger, if I had to walk 20 minutes, I'm not taking a nap. Like it's not worth it at that point. So definitely pay attention to size.
Where you live is really important. Like, so my freshman year, I lived in a dorm hall at U of I that was 2 miles, like a mile and a half away from the computer science building. And that was a bad time, especially when you can't walk. Pick somewhere reasonably close, not like, don't pick somewhere, if you're going into a dorm. If you're going into an apartment, generally you can get somewhere really close to where you need. But if you're going into a dorm, don't pick the furthest away dorm, or like the second furthest away dorm. Because you're gonna have that 8 a.m. that you need to get to, and it is like 7:45, and you skip 4 of your alarms, and it's like, oh no, what do I do? That it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
It is very important to do your research beforehand because I did not do my research and it definitely is not it's not bad, but I do have a good 20-minute walk 2 times a day. But it is good to do research on where you want to live and notice the living conditions of each dorm because each dorm is very different for each school you go to.
I kind of got screwed over with my dorm. I love my dorm. For sure, I love my dorm, but the way Colorado works is wherever you're living is based on your major, which kind of stinks because you can't really pick where you want to live. You can pick your top 3, but then you'll base it on what you're majoring in, so you're very only from your major. And my dorm, I wouldn't change it for a dorm, except it's a 30-minute walk to the rec center. And my farthest class on foot is probably a 25-minute walk. So definitely getting a bike helps. I have a bike, so it's a whole lot better. But when it comes to winter time, though, it's kind of rough. So, I don't know how many colleges base off dorms based off your major. So yeah, definitely do your research, but it could be worse.
You can live without an AC unit, but try and get a dorm with an AC unit. Speaking from experience here.
to add on to that, one of my semesters, my junior year, a hornet's nest actually stayed in my AC unit because it was all off, so it was all hot. And I made several complaints to my RA. Long story short, I was baking in an oven in my room, and I had hornets stinging me in my sleep. So, if I could recommend one thing, if there's a problem, be sure to be very vocal about it, all right? Oh, that was bad. You know, waking up in the middle of the night in a like hot sweat, getting stung by hornets, yeah, it's not good. I didn't tell my parents about that because I just didn't want to go through the hassle.
Ellen, did you want to talk about Drake because it's just so different?
Because I went to a pretty small school. It was about 3,500 undergrads, so it was like similar size to BHS, which is what I really wanted because I really wanted that like super close connection to professors, which I definitely got from a smaller school, and also just smaller class sizes in general. Like our campus was super small, and you could get from one end to the other 10 minutes or less. I lived off campus for my last few years, and like it was half a mile away, and people complained that it was too far. But when I lived on campus, I lived right next to pretty much every building, so it wasn't more than a 5-minute walk to class or to the dining hall or anything like that.
I want to talk about that because my school is about 2,700 people. The whole campus, I think, is 1 mile if you walk around. So I can see basically every lecture hall I have to go to from my dorm window. So I really do think going to a smaller school is something I wanted because I wanted that intimacy. My smallest class was 9 people and my largest was about 27. So I really did want that because I wanted that connection with the students and that connection with my professors. Every professor knew all of us by names and by face. So I do think when determining what college you want to go to, you really have to think about what you want. Some people love going to bigger schools. I wanted a smaller one. So really just think about the environment you want to be in, the size, and then you can make your decision based off of that.
I want to tie in real quick to that. So, me personally, I remember taking a field trip to Harper. I want to say it was probably my sophomore year of high school. And they sat us in this probably 250, 300 person lecture hall. I mean, it was pretty big, and at the time, I want to say we probably filled it all the way up with Barrington High School students. But going into Harper, I expected my class size to just be, I guess medium. I would say I expected the classes to be a lot bigger. When I started going to class at Harper, I soon found out the classes were actually pretty small. So it's kind of nice, as she said, your classes are small, and it's nice from the standpoint of you basically gain a friendship with your teacher. A lot of times if you go to a bigger college, your professor is kind of someone, in some standpoint, you can fear because you don't have that relationship. But Harper, you kind of gain the friendship with the teacher, and it makes it a lot easier for the students.
It's good insight, and it's something, I think, coming from a large high school and students say, oh, no way can I go to a school that's 2,000 students when I've been 3,000. It's a totally different feel. Things are more spread out that then you think, right, you've got that relationship with the professor right off the bat. However, if you decide a larger school is what you want to do, there are things called discussion sessions, where after a lecture you can attend a discussion session. It may not be run by the professor, but by a graduate student or a teaching assistant, and you'll go over the information that was presented in the lecture so you can reinforce that material and learn it better. And then as you progress through in a larger university, you do get more into your major classes, you will get into smaller class sizes as well. But if that's something, that intimate relationship is something you want from the get-go, that is a small school is definitely something, or smaller school is definitely something to consider. Okay, we've got a lot of good questions and like 10 minutes to go. One of them I think, well, let me ask you this. Did any of you during high school do any kind of summer program abroad or at another college? Did anybody do that? Okay. That's a really good thing to explore. I'll put a plug in. We've got Naviance and student enrichment programs and, oh, sorry, you did.
Yes, I did have a very small summer program. It was just Meet Western. We got to stay in one of the nicer dorms, one of which that doesn't have wasps. And we got to meet new people, hang out, explore the campus, and I still keep in contact with a lot of the people that I met there. But I encourage you guys to try and go to the campus, like meet the campus, meet the people, and you kind of get a feel for like your first day or like maybe a weekend atmosphere, and it's really just something good to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, that is. Thank you, Peyton. I'm sorry I didn't see you raising your hand. One thing too is, I'll go back to enrichment programs in a minute, but there are something called, once you apply to school and you're accepted, there's something called admitted student days or admitted student weekends, and that's a really good thing to take advantage of. If the school is one of your top choices, go to that experience. It's different than taking a college tour with your parents. You're hanging with other students, as Peyton described, that have been accepted, they're your peers, and you can really get a good feel for that campus, and is this a place I want to live and work in for 4 years? So that's something to think about as well. And just to go back real quickly to the summer enrichment programs, that's something that's a really great thing to do to explore your interests, to check out what a college campus is like. It either can be something where you're going and living in a dorm as a high school student and taking a class either for credit or just a survey, as they call it, or you can live at home and commute to that experience as well. So it's something to think about on Naviance under colleges. There's a whole list of summer enrichment programs and also internship opportunities and things during the school year as well. One thing that I think I can answer on my own is, were third-party scholarships helpful, or did scholarships aid, or did school scholarships aid more? Typically, there's two types of financial aid. There's need-based aid and merit-based aid. And merit-based aid is the aid given to a student that's based on their academic performance. So GPA, test scores sometimes, and sometimes a combination of both. So those are those merit scholarships that can be pretty significant when you're applying to a school, you're automatically considered for them. The other type of merit scholarship can come from foundational scholarships and things like that. They're not as large, but from the college or university, so that's usually what you're going to get. Did any of you look for scholarships beyond what the school was offering? Jalen?
Yeah, so I got a BHS scholarship upon graduation. I got the Agnes Kruger scholarship, and it's all 4 years. It's for music students, and that scholarship really was a make or break thing for me. I got aid from University of Miami, but that scholarship was a huge amount, so I highly encourage you to look into district scholarships, local scholarships, apply to the Coca-Cola grant, anything like that.
Yeah, there are national scholarship bases. We've got some listed on our website databases, one of which is FastWeb. So yes, they're more sizable, but they're competing on a national level. Jalen's talking about one that really was a make or break for him was a local scholarship. So for those of you who are seniors, come February, there will be a packet available to you online and you can apply. And there's some pretty sizable scholarships and renewal opportunities. So, okay. Jalen, really quickly, in 25 seconds or less, can you talk about the music business major and what sort of classes are you taking?
Yeah, so I think music business is awesome. I think it's a great way to combine, even if you're not musically inclined, just an interest in music, if you are an avid streamer, or even like a film watcher and you like film soundtracks or game soundtracks, anything like that, and work in the business side. So you can either take a music business route that is a Bachelor's of Science or a Bachelor's of Arts, anything like that. Personally, I'm in a Bachelor's of Music track, so that also has some different like music requirements. So I'm required to sing. I sing opera, which is kind of funny. And then I also take like piano class, but beyond that I take music publishing and music law and other things like that. And I'm coupling this education with an entrepreneurship minor. So I'm really getting a very well-rounded outlook into the business field, but I'm getting a very narrowed outlook, I would say, as well, into what specifically about business can I relate in just the music realm. And I think it's an incredibly cool program. And if you're interested, come talk to me. Let's go.
Thank you. That was 28 seconds, but I'll let you start. Okay, 2 questions that I want to get to in 5 minutes. So, this is an important one, and I think you guys in some ways have touched on it already, but feel free to share how was the transition from 8 classes a day to 2 to 4 in a day in college? Like, you talked about how you were in space in between, and did any of you struggle with time management? Oh my gosh, I have all this time to do my homework, I don't have it for another couple days, or did you really appreciate it, or not having to be in 8 classes every day? So talk about that transition and how you guys manage it.
It's awesome. Just here, you get so much more free time in college, but it's how you use it. Using it to meet with friends, make connections, join new clubs. Those are very productive ways of using your newly allotted free time. And here, it also allows you more free time to de-stress yourself. College is stressful, finals, midterms, these things can wear people down, so use your free time effectively and try not to overburden yourself with too many clubs or activities, but just manage your time appropriately.
To quickly add on to that, it can also be an illusion. Your free time can be an illusion. So I was a grad student for I did my undergrad 3.5, and then I was a grad student for a year. And grad student classes are a little bit different. Instead of having homework and exams, it's you read papers, at least within computer science. You read papers of cutting edge in the field, and then you do a semester-long project. So many times I didn't have to really do work beyond reading papers until like 3 months into the semester. So you have a lot of free time, but that's an illusion because you should be working on like a semester-long project the whole semester. So it really depends on what courses you're taking. So look at your schedule carefully, figure that out for the first 2 weeks. Usually a lot of schools have what's called an add drop period where you can kind of just like try stuff out. So like you shouldn't do this, but a lot of people overload at University of Illinois and like take or at least audit like 2 more courses than they're actually going to take and then drop the 2 worst courses based on course load or based on interest or something like that. So your free time may be an illusion, just be careful.
And then something I really liked is I made sure I got all my homework done as much as you can on projects throughout the week. So then I had the weekends free, so you can go do whatever you want, whether that's 1 minute to mostly do trail work or go do some cool hikes and see some new part of the country. So it's really fun.
5-second thing to add. If you do your schedule right, you can have 3 or 4 day weekends, but don't abuse that.
So true. Speaking as a procrastinator in college, it's so true. Okay, one last one that we'd love to hear from all of you on, and that is, what is one piece of advice that you would give a current VHS student about preparing for college or your next step after high school? Want to start?
So to tie into that last point you made, I am definitely a procrastinator, and it seems like in today's age it's more and more evident that more and more students are procrastinators. So just the main thing with starting college, don't procrastinate because it truly just makes the workload tougher.
I would say in high school, especially good study habits now, along with like going to class and making that a regular part of your day, because in college it definitely can like not be a part of your day, but if you go to class, it definitely pays off in the end.
I know this a little bit, but find the college that you want to go to. Do not follow your best friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend to college. people regret it and you end up going for the wrong reasons. So I would really find the environment you want to go to, figure out if you want to go to a small or large school, tour schools. I know that wasn't an option when I was applying, but if you can, tour as many schools as you can. Because some of them, you just get on campus and you're like, this is a place I need to be. And some places you're like, I cannot go here for 4 years. Also know that you're going to be living and learning, like you said. So you want to make sure your education is going to be good, but also the social scene. So really making that a priority and making sure it's a place that you want to go and that somebody is not making you go is my top piece of advice I would give everyone.
Small thing that I'd like to add. When you're at college, you're going to be away from your parents. You're going to be a big boy or a big girl now. So one thing that is very important, be responsible for yourself. These actions are solely yours. You know, your parents will not come and save you. Just be responsible for yourself. Manage your time properly. Think about what you're going to be doing because there is no fallback plan. Just be responsible for yourself.
The last question, going from an 8-class day to maybe 4 or 5 classes a day, it's very different and you do have a lot of free time to go to your classes. Going to class, like, it will suck, obviously there will be days that it will suck, but you need to go to your classes because obviously it can't hurt you. And there will be days, like, for some reason I would have an 8-class day from like 8 a.m. to 3:22 p.m. at 5 days a week, but now in college I get a 2-class day, but I need a nap every 30 minutes. And I don't know why, but you just need to go to your classes, even if they're late in the day. Like it will get you out, it will get you doing something, even if you don't want to. And I enjoy going to my classes, so yeah.
I encourage you to look into programs you haven't really heard about. If someone had told me about music business, I would have started thinking about that way earlier, but I kind of didn't know about it. I found it almost by accident. So look into like smaller programs, like any sort of niche thing that you think you might be interested in. There's probably a major for it somewhere, and chances are like you can find a good program for it. So look really closely.
One idea from that. Develop healthy stress management coping mechanisms. I did not, and the healthy ones are go work out or go swim or go on a walk, and the unhealthy ones are play video games for 6 hours or like order DoorDash and just like watch TV, and that can pile up over time. So develop healthy coping mechanisms and like stress management mechanisms.
Self-love and accept the journey you're on, I guess. And then stay on top of your academics. Are there for a reason, right? What should I say?
I would say make sure you're doing things that you're really interested in that make you happy. So I took a pretty big leap of faith moving so far away. This is my first time that I hadn't lived under my own parents' roof. But it was something that I was interested in, and I was able to gain so many life lessons from it. And then while you're a senior, do things like go to the dances and like hang out with your friends because you're not going to see them for a long time. And as long as it's making you happy, that's what's most important to you, because this is a very transitional time in your life, and you're going to want to be able to look back on good memories. Kind of piggybacking off of that, just try not to get too stressed over the whole college process. I was super stressed. I didn't decide where I wanted to go until 2 days before decision day. And you can just kind of, wherever you end up going, you can make your experience your own and figure out things you like to do. And if you end up not liking it, you can always transfer. It's super normal, and a lot of people do it. So just try not to stress out about it too much and try to enjoy the process.
Very similar advice on don't put too much pressure on yourself. We're pretty young trying to make big life decisions, and you can always transfer, like you were saying. I'm a transfer myself, and I'm still able to make friends, and I'm very, very happy with my decision. So you're going to make it work no matter where you end up.
I think to end it, it's going to be okay. Crazy things are going to happen. You will bomb a test. You will have uncertain things happen to you. It's, you know, it's a new adventure. You're becoming an adult. But it's going to be okay. And I think it'll also be better than okay. I think it'll be great. But yeah, unexpected hard things will happen. Get back up on the horse. It's going to be okay.
So Jen wasn't kidding when she said this is an amazing panel, huh? That's great. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Let's go, Danny! Woo!
I want to send Rob to your house.
I like the summer, that's like...